right, so we are just about ready for 2023 opening day. This is just a little season preview post to follow up on the off-season recap before we get started. So let's start with our the preseason predictions. As you can see, out of the park projection systems have come around on the Orioles, who won 88 games last year, but we're projected for far below that. I want to say like 10 games under 500 last year. I can't remember. I could be wrong. But anyways, it looks like they're predicting a three-team race here between the Yankees, the Rays, and the O's. The Blue Jays. It looks like it would take a lot of luck for the Red Sox to, or maybe not luck, but overachieving. To get into that race. It's interesting the way they predict us doing it. 889 runs scored, which would be second best in the AL. And there are only 5 teams over 800 runs, and we're projected for almost 900. So just ahead of the Astros and Angels. So 889 is second best in the AL to the White Sox, who won the World Series. And so it's second best in the majors. So they project us to score the second most runs in the majors, but no top hitters. Nobody in the top 10 projected hitters, or however many that is, 12, whatever. ERA a little higher, 4.43, but still that's way better than it had been. It was up over 5 most seasons, I think, projected. I remember we were 30th, I think, the first 2 seasons in predicted ERA. White Sox defending the crown, expected to win the Central, and the Twins and Indians, of course, will probably be fairly competitive. Tigers and Royals are just terrible. The AL West continues to be ruled by the Astros, apparently. Angels and A's maybe can hang in there. The Rangers coming around after having the number 1 overall pick a couple of years ago. Hitters, no real big surprises here in terms of the top hitters in the league. That's about what, this, if somebody told you these were going to be the top hitters in MLB in 2023 in real life, that sounds reasonable to me. Same thing with the pitchers. Somehow the Tigers have Manning and Mize up here, but are still mediocre. Amazing. So that, and then down in the NL, the Nats are expected to be terrible, which is surprising because they have 3 of the top 10 players in the NL in their outfield in Betts, Soto, and their center fielder whose name I'm completely drawing a blank on right now, who is, of course, wait, is he gone? Anyways, I won't get off track too much here. Let's just look real quick. Victor Robles, of course. Oh, he's out. Oh, Soto's still out. He missed some of last year. Strasburg's still out. Looks like it's a pitching thing. Their pitching sucks. Anyways, I thought that was interesting that with 3 superstar level players, they were projected to only win 73 games. So the Braves, the Miami Cornhuskers making some noise. And who knows, the Phillies or Mets seem good enough that they might be able to contend. Phillies have not been good in the Bryce Harper era. The NL Central, the Cardinals have kind of dominated this division in this sim. Everybody else has been bad. And goodness, the Cubs are awful. But the Brewers expected to finally make use of Christian Yelich and win some games with him on their team. And down here, the Padres and the Dodgers look to be running away with the West. Mackenzie Gore projected to be the top pitcher in the NL. Let's see, any surprising name here? Grisham has become a really good player for the Padres, I think above what I would expect. Seth Beer, okay. And then I'm not sure who this guy is. He's a real guy. 2019 first round pick of the Brewers, got it. So he's come along well for them, I guess. And then all these other names, mostly you recognize. So, anyways, O's are expected to contend for the AL East crown. A quick rundown of the team after spring training. Everything is the same here in the starting, except for Buxton, who we already covered that trade in the last episode. Backup, of course, we have Sal Perez in. Adam Hall is a backup infielder for us. He did that last year for about half the season. Park, of course, was a Rule 5 guy for me in 2021, missed all of 2022 with injury. He'll be also a utility infielder with Hall. I might eventually trade for a corner infield bat / pinch hitter. I don't really have a good bench bat. And one of those guys might get sent down. And then backup outfielder is the 5th outfielder is Chas McCormick, maybe it's pronounced. He is the last remaining piece in the Trey Mancini trade. And so he won the job because Kyle Isbell, who came over in those 2020 trades too from the Royals, I think in the Jose Iglesias trade, he looks like a very good fielder. And it's fine. He's 26. It's finally time to give him a shot on the major league roster as the fifth outfielder, but really fourth because Larnach is a full time DH as an outfielder. And he's a really good left fielder. He could maybe take Austin Hayes' job over the next year or two. We'll see as Hayes gets more expensive. So I'm excited for him to get back in about a week and see what he can do. On the pitching side of things, the 2 through 5 starters are all back from last year. Marquez, of course, the trade covered in the last episode, number 1 starter. Matt Barnes back as the closer. I'm putting him as the closer over Feltman because getting saves drives up your arbitration costs. Feltman is about to enter arbitration. So I am trying to keep his costs down and let a guy who is signed to a fixed free agent deal rack up those saves. Will Smith, of course, was brought in as a signing. Connor Jones, all-star last year. JD Hammer, setup guy last year. These two guys in middle relief. I mean, this bullpen's stacked. Jairo Diaz was the closer for the Rockies last year, and I traded for him at the deadline, and he was kind of up and down. Andrew Miller, I think, is really awesome as a specialist. And then Colton Eastman, he'll kind of be up and down some, I think, when I need fresh arms, but he'll be my long man. He was in that competition with some guys, including Grayson Rodriguez, and he was the best in spring training. And he's been kind of a guy who's been up and down for me the last 2 years as a long man / starter in AAA, and he's been fairly effective, maybe like a league average pitcher for me when he's been up. But Grayson Rodriguez did not have a very good spring. I was hoping that he could win that role, but he did not. Speaking of prospects, just a real quick look at the system. Even with guys like Larnach, Matan, Hayes, Mountcastle, Rutschman, all those guys no longer prospects, we still have the 9th best system in baseball. That's pretty encouraging. Asa Lacy, who was the number 1 pick in 2020, my number 1 pick, number 2 overall. He's number 20 prospect still. He's been top 10-ish for most of the time. He's 23 now, and he did miss an entire year. He missed all of 2021 basically. He made 4 starts and didn't really pitch in 2020 either because he tore his he had some sort of arm injury. So he's really hardly pitched, in the minor leagues. Last year was really his first full year, and I had him at AA. He struggled in AAA in 6 starts at the end of the season, but I think he will work his way onto the major league club this season. Brady Corrigan is the 38th best prospect apparently. He's going to need to work on his control. He was an A-ball last year and walked 6.2 guys per 9. He gave up a lot of hits, too, for a guy who apparently, has some pretty good pitches against low competition. But he's 24. This is kind of a make-or-break year for you, man. I'm surprised he's rated that high as a prospect. Gunnar Henderson continues to look like possibly the shortstop of the future. He was in AA last year, and he's still only 21, and he didn't do great there, so I'm keeping him there. 41st. Bob Maldonado, the 56th prospect. This dude is 16 years old. He's my international free agent signing. He is a long ways away. And then we got Tejada, who's a pitcher. Bowser was a draft pick in 2020. He's looking like a middle infield, like a legit player. He's only 21. Was very good in A-ball last year and now will be the middle infielder. For the middle infield with Gunnar Henderson and Bowie. Jack Perkins was my number 1 pick last year, the 8th overall, and he is the 196th best prospect in baseball, apparently. And then most of these guys are guys that I've drafted. Jamie Chisholm, you remember, was the number 1 overall pick in 2021 when I was really bummed with the quality of the draft class. And as you can see, he's not in a top 100 prospect, not even close. He struggled in low A ball last year as a 20-year-old so badly that he will repeat that level at least to start this year. But I've got some other, there's some other guys coming here. It's still a good farm system, but obviously Lacy, I think Henderson, Bowser, Tejada, all those guys, Mitchell Stone, all those guys are like AA or above, and I think will be like the next wave of guys to come up over the next year or two. So anyways, today in real life is Thursday, May 21st. I'm planning on doing opening day Saturday, May 23rd during the day. I will post that on the channel tomorrow. The time, probably aiming for like 3 o'clock Eastern, per usual. The Orioles start the season in Boston, in Fenway, against the lowly Red Sox. Hoping to lay the smackdown in Fenway. We'll get a good view of the Green Monster. And that's yeah. So that's all for the season preview. We will see you for opening day for the Baltimore Orioles, who are hoping to contend for the AL East crown this year.